And from there, I mentioned to us that we should lay our hands on the report we prepared that we looked at the last session, and so we can make things better and implement some of the learnings we've heard or we had in the last session. So I don't know if we were able to do some things on that. Whatever the answer is.
Hello. Hello?
Yes, please, Salawali.
Okay, so I was able to do some modifications to the previous one I did. So I don't know if I can share my screen.
Excellent. Please share your screen.
Okay. Hello, can you see my screen?
Okay, yes, I can. But I see something called, okay, yeah, it's more visible now. Okay.
Okay.
So please give a walkthrough of this.
Okay. So what I did was okay, so this like this analysis is showing line of business against region. That's the bar chart.
Okay.
And then this is showing units sold by markets against let me see, against location. Then
okay,
for this units sold by region, so I use a donut chart to come up with this. So for this, see. Okay, so for this, I did region by sales. And then for this, I use the composition tree. So that's count of business against region as well. That was what I did there. And then this can also be filtered too. So I just added some little features like to it, like shadow. So I played around with the properties for this. Then this is the smart narrative for this. I also played with a little bit of properties underneath as well. So so for this, the page, I was able to use instead of using like a logo, I switch it to let me see, instead of using image, so I decided to use shape to control just to navigate. Yes, so and then for this, the navigation bar, that's for the pages. This was what I was able to come up with. So I also played around with some of the properties there too. So the way I was having issues basically was under the bookmarks. So I did let me show you. So I did bookmarks, revenue by line of business by region, and then count of business by region. So what I noticed was when I click on this, it doesn't change. And then when I click on this too, it doesn't appear. So, but if I go back to the bookmark itself, if I click on, okay, this is line of business. So if I click on revenue, it will change it. And I've done the settings for these, like these buttons, or let me say level. So I don't know what could be, I don't know. So I've gone through the video and then I did it the same way, but it's still not changing when I click on the button. But if I click here, it will toggle, yes.
It will change.
Yeah, it will change, yes.
Okay, click on one of the buttons.
Okay.
Then go to the format. open the format pane for the button. Action. Bookmark, then revenue by line of business. Okay, so go back to the button now. Go back to the button. Hold on your control.
Okay. I've done that.
Okay, go to the second button.
Okay. I should not release the control.
No, you see it's changed now, right?
Oh,
so this now
okay.
So because you have not published the reports to the service, if you want to use any button on the desktop, you need to hold on your control.
Oh, okay.
So
I think that was the point I didn't pick. Okay.
It's just that, so it's working.
Okay.
Great work. Well done, Lawali, on this. So just very quickly, the chart that you have at the top, that unit sold by market, you have it filtered, right?
Yes, I think it's filtered.
Yes, it's filtered. On its screen. Okay. So one of what is recommended is when you have a chart filter like that, let that reflect on the title.
Oh,
so that when you're looking at it, they know that, okay, this is showing the bottom 5.
Oh, okay.
So they are not. Okay. Then secondly is the charts seem not totally aligned with the other two at the top there. So the units sold by market chart is slightly, so you see now that it's a bit
it's
more
aligned
aligned.
now. Yes.
So yeah, but good work. And then again is for the y-axis, for the axis titles. For instance, if you look at the units sold by market chart.
Okay.
Yes, the axis title that you have there, market for the y-axis, units sold for the x-axis. Can you see those?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Yeah, so they are actually redundant as they are. So because you already have a title that says units sold by market.
Okay.
So you need to take those off, and that will give your chart a bit more room. So your chart is more visible that way.
Okay.
All right. Overall, well done, Lawali. Thanks a lot for this.
Okay, sir. Let me stop sharing.
So, all right. Sadiq, anything for us? Were you able to do some things?
Yeah, hello boss. No, good morning. So I wasn't able to do much.
Okay. Did it do anything at all?
Yes, I worked on please allow me share. I worked on a new screen, but I wasn't able to do much.
So let's just have a look at what you were able to come up with.
Please allow me share my screen. Okay, okay. Can you see my screen?
See. Yes, I can.
Okay, so we have here on this on the home page. The first report is the sum of profits against it. The team sales for the profits, which is also the normal. So, Okay, so
So
this hello.
I stopped sharing you. That was why I wanted to say something.
Okay, so this this was the first one when this particular screen was where you say we should use some filters like the AI visual. This was done using the AI visual. So this the other one down which shows the summary in words. This was done using the smart narrative. So it just says the overview of the sales across the sales team.
Hmm.
This so this the third one by the right top. This was done. This was where we use the key influencer.
Hmm.
Clicking on this one. Okay. So this was where we use the key influencer that shows the count of sales rep and the amount of against the amount of profit that was made.
The one you are
No,
currently on,
no key
that's
influencer.
trade, right?
This is composition tree. Sorry, apologies.
Hmm.
This is the composition tree, which shows the count of sales rep against the profits. And the one below this is the key influencers segment.
Hmm.
Shows the sum of sales in total in general. So at the bottom here we have the navigation key for the pages.
Hmm.
So when we over this AI visual, so it's supposed to bring up.
What are you
Sorry.
expecting?
To bring up the tooltip.
Yeah, so just place your mouse on the bar.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I was able to work on the tooltip also like we did in the last session.
Mhm.
Just to give more details on the sum of quantities sold per month
Mhm.
based on the sales team.
Mhm.
And also I have an arrow. There's a navigation arrow here which goes to the next page.
Mhm.
So on the next page we have the sales. It's also sales and profit. Some sales and profits. So for the first one, which is which is for the chart, we have the sum of sales by region.
Mhm.
So which is differentiated by the colors. Depending on the specific region, we have the west, east, central, and south. It's- Sorry, by which we have the the percentage also by the side for so if we go to the right, we have the bar chart here also, which shows the sum of profits by region. Same also here we have here, which is the west, east. So it shows the sum of profits by each region. So you have the region which is making the most profit and the less one. So when we come down here, we see uh
I think you stopped sharing.
the
So.
area chart. Oh, okay. So let me share back.
Mhm.
Can you see my screen now?
It's coming up.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so down here, let me adjust this. We have the area chart, which shows this shows some of sales by the category of the product. So it shows like technology with the most sales, then furniture and office supplies and so on. So on the right here we have the funnel. So this also shows some of sales by sales, some of profit by sales rep, but in a different format using the funnel, using the funnel chart. So there's a direction key here which goes to the navigation key which goes to the next page. Although I don't have anything on the next page yet, except for the navigation key and home button, which goes back to the first page. So basically that's what I was able to work on.
Okay, thanks a lot for this, Sadiq, and well done for making out time to work on this. But I will still just implore you to keep improving on this. I know for visualization, at the start, some things might seem not coming so easily because you're just getting started with it. But the more you work on it, the better you get that visualization. Most especially when it comes to you arranging the charts and stuff, so that you have a bit of consistency and you are able to utilize the page of your report better. So usually for your report, you don't want to leave spaces around. Those spaces are more of distractions. Yes, I'm not saying that we should have things clogged up. We shouldn't be too busy, but at the same time, you shouldn't leave spaces that could have been filled with some charts on other pages. So, for instance, now that you have, let's say you have 3 pages of report, it's actually possible that you have those charts put together on 2 pages and things will still be nice and neat. So rather than having people to explore a couple of more pages before they will be able to see what exactly you're trying to project to them. But overall, well done on this, and thanks a lot for the effort.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I'll be sharing my screen now, and please confirm as soon as you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, I can see.
Great. All right. So up until the last class, we've looked at data preparation, data modeling, and data visualization. And so before we go into what is next after now, I suppose today is our session 8, right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So we after today would have 2 more sessions to go. So which means we'll have a session tomorrow, God willing, and our last session will be on the coming Saturday. So very quickly now, imagine we have a requirement, so to put, that we want to visualize what our locations, what revenue we are getting from different locations. So very quickly we can do that. So I can just add a table visual, and then I come to our region, I select the region, and I'll come to my facts table and I'll pick the cells from the facts table. And so just that I increase the size of the grid, I'm gonna make this 825. Okay, that's didn't come up. So I would come here to the size of so size of the grid. Okay, so the global font, I'll make this 25 so it's clearer. All right, so we have this. Perfect. We can see this is our revenue per region. But let's assume that now we want to compare each of the revenue that we have. Maybe we have a standard, and the standard is that we expect all regions to do at least 500,000. That's what we expect. All regions must do at least 500,000. And now we want to compare or analyze individual regions against that standard. We want to know what is the variance, how far are they from that standard, or how close are they from the standard? Do we have some of our regions who were able to surpass the benchmark, or do we have some of the regions who wouldn't hit that target? So we want to be able to see that. How do you think we can achieve that? Sadiq and Alawali, what do you think? We have a benchmark, which is to say that we have 500,000. That's the benchmark. And we want on our report, we want to be able to analyze individual regions to see which of the regions met the target and which of them did not meet the target. How can we achieve that?
I'm thinking maybe we can use a tooltip.
Okay, so how would that be on the tooltip?
Just give a lowdown of information about how when you over each of the regions, just to show a lowdown of how the sales.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I got your point already, Sadiq. I know what you're going to. But look at a situation like this, for instance. Let me pull this on Excel. So I just bring this up here. And then I have a region, and then we have revenue. And here, so for region, this one, we have Central, East, South, and West. So we have Central, East, South, and West. And for revenue, we have 501678, 501678, and 391725, 391 and 725. This is what we have. And then we have identified that in our business, we have a benchmark of 500. 500 is our benchmark. So what we normally would want to do is to say that we want to say, maybe we want to say, okay, we have a column that says status, which is whether the branch or whether the region was able to hit the target or not. And then we have a variance column to say that how much difference is between the actual revenue from the region and the benchmark. So what we normally would want to do is to say that we want to say this one, what the actual revenue is, minus what the benchmark is. So that's what we normally would do. And then for Central, it's just 1. So Central was able to surpass the target by 1. But when we go down to East, South, and West, we'll see that for South was behind the benchmark with 109. So South didn't hit the benchmark and they were behind with 109. This is a sort of analysis that we want to do, which is to say that at a glance, we are able to pick each of our branches. This might be about branches, this might be about employees, this might be about sales of some product or whatever. And you want to be able to compare that to a particular benchmark and see how far or how close is everything, individual things compared to the particular benchmark. This is something you may want to do. In a situation like this, how do we think we can achieve this same thing that I've done in Excel? How do we think we can achieve it in Power BI on our report? Remember that on our Power BI report, we already have a column for revenue. So we need another column that would take individual values and compare it to our benchmark and tell us what the difference is. How do we think we can achieve that?
Could it be achieved by using DAX?
By using DAX. Why do you think DAX, Olawale?
Because I know for Power BI, it's usually DAX as against normal formula used in Excel.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for that. Yes, we will use DAX. And the reason is that for Power BI, remember that everything we have done on visualization, we were able to create reports using the standard visuals and the custom visuals that are available within Power BI. But at some point, you get incapacitated. There are certain things you want to achieve that you won't be able to achieve them because of the fact that your default visual cannot visualize them. And that is where you will need to now extend the possibilities within our Power BI report. And that is one of the sole reasons why we need to do some calculations in Power BI. And the language that allows us to do those calculations is what is called DAX. So DAX implies data analysis expressions. Data analysis expressions, that is DAX. And DAX is the formula language for Power BI, just like in Excel. Excel is a functional spreadsheet. By that, I mean that it runs on a functional language. So whenever we are working with any tool, most tools with their languages can be divided into two. It's either the tool runs on a programming language or the tool runs on a functional language. So when it runs on a programming language, what it means is that it's running on a language that is programmatic. By it being programmatic, it means that you'll be the one that will be writing a lot of the code to make what you want to do to make it work or to achieve what you want to achieve. But when a program or a tool, when a tool runs on a functional language, it means that most of the programming has been done for you. They have pre-built functions. And what you need to do is just to do some function calls. You're doing some function calls and that will give you the result. So remember that in Excel, for instance, if I want to get the summation of all of this, what I will need to do is to just do equal to sum. This equal to sum that I've done here is a function that I'm making a call to. I'm making a call to this sum function, and there is a program behind the sum function, which is to say that whenever somebody calls on you, the sum function, tell the person to give you some values that the person intends to sum up. And when they supply those values to you, just go ahead to add them all up. So the program behind the sum function is to add. And that is why it is a functional language. So it is a functional language because of the fact that we are making a call to a function and the function is meant to do something for us. For those of us that will write codes, We know that if you want to write codes that will do summation of some things, you might have to do that manually yourself, except you are using some pre-built models or some pre-built functions in those programming languages as well. But if you want to do that yourself, you might need to do some iteration over the entire values that you have, and before you will be able to get the result that you intend to get. But here, the programming itself has been pre-built behind this particular function, and that's why we are able to call on it to give us what we want. So the same thing is applicable to DAX. DAX is a functional language, which means that it has functions. And the functions, what is expected of us is just to make calls to these functions and use them, supply the arguments that they require, and then they will provide the results that we expect if we supply those arguments correctly. But when we talk about DAX, there are a couple of ways, or there are a couple of results that we expect to get, or a couple of ways to use DAX. Whenever we use DAX in Power BI, one is we want to create a new table. So if we want to create new tables on our Power BI data model, then one of the things that we need to do is to use DAX. Of course, sometimes you want to create new tables. You can do it from the side of Power Query as well to create your new tables, maybe by duplicating existing tables, and then you are modifying that to the new table that you want. Or probably you are extracting from an existing table, or you are writing M language to generate some new tables for you. So you can do that on the side of Power Query as well. But from DAX, you can also create new tables. The other thing that you want to create with DAX is new columns. For instance, you have a table that already exists, but there is a particular column which is more of a calculated column that you want to use in your reporting, which does not currently exist within your table. Then you can write some DAX functions to use or to bring about that column. The very next thing that you create with DAX is what is called a measure. Excuse me. It's what you call a measure. For tables, when you write a function that will result into a table, immediately you hit on enter on your keyboard, you get a new table. You see it straight up. A new table comes up. If you want to add a new column, you write a function that will generate a new column for you, or the expression that will generate a new column. Immediately you hit on enter, you see a new column added to the table that you have pointed to. But there are some other calculations that you do that will neither result into a new table, nor will it result into a new column. Then such calculations, they are called measures. So measures are calculations that you only get to see the result when you visualize it. So you have calculated something now. The result would only be seen when you had that measure, that calculation onto a visual. So maybe you had it to a column chart, maybe you add it to a table or a matrix or whatever you're adding it to. That is a measure. And the last thing that you use DAX for is what is called RLS, which is the row level security. So your row level security is a security feature in Power BI that allows you to restrict what is seen by who within an organization. So you're building a report that for some part of the report, you don't want some set of people to see them. So assuming that we are an organization as we are on the call, Olawale is the CEO, Abdul Samad is the CFO, Sadiq is the CTO, okay? And I am maybe the operations person. So we have a report that as an operations person, I'm not meant to see some high-level figures on that report. But Olawale as a CEO can see everything, obviously, on that report. So we need to define a row level security, and the row level security will be such that when we deploy the report, it's a single report we are creating. And when we deploy the report, if I am logged in as myself, I won't be able to see the full report based on what has been defined. So I would only see a part of the report that the report builder has defined that I should be able to see, and Olawale, who is the CEO, will be able to see the entire or the full report. So that is what row level security is. So row level security can be static or can be dynamic, depending on how you created it. But hopefully we'll have some bit of the session tomorrow to look at some things around the row level security. So, but in essence is that whatever we are using DAX for will result into one of these four. So it's either you are creating a new table with it, or you're creating a new column with it, or you're creating a measure, which is something that needs to be added to a visual before you can see the result, or you're using it for RLS, which is your row level security. So today we'll be starting with tables. What are some of the reasons or some of the things that we need, some of the functions that will result into a new table for us? Excuse me a second. Okay, sorry about that. So now, whenever we are ready to create measures or calculations with DAX, so you can either go to the modeling tab, and when you are on the modeling tab, you see a calculations group. And here it summarizes everything I've talked about. Or a quick measure. So a quick measure is an AI feature that writes some DAX for you. Or you do a new column or a new table. So if I click on the new measures button, it means that I'm ready to create a measure. And what did I say is a measure? Anybody? What did I say a measure is? Who wants to try?
Hello.
Yes, Salawali.
Okay, so it's just like a way of like generating a new set of values from our tables.
How does it differ from new tables and new columns?
Okay, so for measures, measures will give us like how would I put it? For tables, we can actually create a new table and then also set a new column. And then but for measure will give us like a true value of true value of a particular or a particular table.
Not totally it, but thanks for that. So what I mentioned was when you use, as we have now on the modeling tab, if I click on new table, it means I want to add a new table to my data model. And by implication, what that means is that I would be able to create a new table from here. So when I'm done writing whatever DAX function I'm writing or expression that I'm writing, I would, as soon as I click on enter, the result will be a new table. You see an additional table on your data model. For new column, what it means is that you want to add a physical column to an existing table. While for measure, when you have a measure, you would not see the result yet until you add that measure to a visual. So you need to add the measure to a case with new tables and new columns. So new column, immediately you hit enter, you will see it physically. New table, once you hit enter, you see it physically. But for measures, you will not see the you hit enter, nothing will happen. The only time you will see the result is when you add that to a visual. That is the only time you will see the result of the measure. I hope it's clear now. Did we get that now?
Yes, it's clear.
Great. So now, let's assume we want to create a new table now. So for this, I will go to my data view. And once I'm on the data view as well, you see a table tool, which is a contextual tab. And you see a new table button here. And by hovering on it, you see it says write a DAX expression to create a new table. I'll hit this new table here. And now it's asking us to write something on the formula bar. The first thing we'll notice is it says table equal to, then the cursor is blinking after the equal to sign. This is the DAX syntax. The DAX syntax is that we give whatever we are writing, we give it a name. In this case, we are writing a table function, so we need to give our table a name. That is the table that we see here. We put the equal to sign, and then we write the function that will generate the new table for us. So assuming we want to create a duplicate of the D customers table, there is no reasonable, situation why you want to do this, but I just want to show us what's possible. So assuming we want to create a duplicate of the D customers table. So I'll come here to where I have the table. I'll change this to the customer, can be anything, duplicates. And then I will just call on the D customers table. So now I'm saying that the D customer duplicates table should be equal to the D customers table. So the D customers table is a table that already exists. So I want to make a copy of that, and then it should be saved under the D customer duplicates. So as soon as I check on this box, you see that it's poured out the entire data that we add on the D customer table. So if I go to the D customer table, notice that here we have 793 rows. If I come to the D customer duplicate table, it says that we have 793 rows. Excuse me. Says that we have 793 rows, which means what this has just done is to create a copy of the existing table and save it under the new table name. This is possible because we clicked on new table. So it's expecting that we want to create a new table. Well, let's assume now that, like I mentioned to us in one of our previous classes, that there is a particular table that we would always want to have on our report. Who remembers that table? What did I call it? Anybody remembers? I mentioned that there's a particular table that we always would want to have on our report.
Facts table.
Yes.
Or is it the dimension?
No, those are tables that already exist, but there's a table that we would always create on our data model that will enable some more analytics. Anyone wants to try? Do we remember me saying anything about a calendar table or a date table?
Oh, that's true. I remember.
Excellent.
Yeah, you mentioned
so you will always want to have a date table. And the reason why you would need a date table, one is because of the fact that it allows you to modify some things on your report in the way your dates are filtered, in the way your reporting are done using some date dimensions or date attributes. Secondly, is it allows you some ways around, you want to do some forecast. So you'll be able to do that if you have a date table. So let's see how to create a date table now using DAX. So again, I'll come to the table tools and I'll do new table. And the first thing I would want to do is to give my table a name. So I'll call it calendar. You can call it whatever, really. And we have two DAX functions that can generate a date table for us. If I type calendar, you see that we have calendar and we have calendar auto. The difference between the two is that for calendar, it will need you to specify the start date and the end date. So you need to add code what the start date is. So maybe the start date you want to pull from is 1st of January, 2 is 31st of December 2022. That may be what you want to do. So you have that date range hard coded, you have it specified. The other code function you have is the calendar auto. Calendar auto looks at your data model. It picks the earliest date on your data model. It picks the earliest year on your data model and the latest year on the data model, and will return the full date in between. Calendar auto looks at your data model. It picks the earliest year on your model. It picks the latest year on your model and would return the entire dates in between, every single date in between. It generates dot for you. So let's assume that we have on our data model, the earliest date is 1st of April, 2022. And the latest date on our data model is 5th of January, 2023. 1st of April, 2022, that's the earliest. Latest, 5th of January, 2023. What would be the range of dates we would have if we use calendar auto? Anybody? What will be the range of dates that calendar auto will generate for us? Anyone wants to try? Okay, let me give us another clue here. Remember that I just mentioned that what calendar auto would look at is what the earliest year is and what the latest year is. And will return every single date for those years. So now my question is, if we have our earliest date on the data model to be 1st of April 2022, and the latest date on the data model to be 5th of January 2023, what dates do we expect calendar auto to generate for us from when to when?
From 1st of April to 2022 to 5th of January 2023.
Thanks a lot for that try, Sadiq. So let's say what normally would happen is it's only picking what the year is. So it will pick the year, which is 2022, and it will pick the latest year, which is 2023. And what calendar auto would do is to return individual dates for both years. So on our data model, we have our date starting from 1st of April, but calendar auto will return it from the 1st of January. And on our data model, we have the latest year to be 2023, 5th of January. Calendar auto will return the dates down to the 31st of January 2023, 31st of December 2023. And that's one of the reasons why you have the potential or the possibility of doing some forecasting on your data model if you have a date table. Because remember that your actual date ends on the 5th of January. But now you want to forecast into the future. How will you be able to do that if you don't have dates that run into the future? So that is one of the reasons why you want to have a date table, and using calendar auto, it just generates that for you. And using calendar auto would also be very dynamic. So when you have new dates for 2024, your calendar date table would just automatically update. So now I'll come here, calendar auto. It needs no argument really. So if I go back to calendar, you see the calendar requires a start date and an end date. But if I come here to calendar auto, you see that the argument that I have, fiscal year, it's only in square brackets. When you are writing DAX, any argument that you find in square bracket, it means that that argument is optional, which means the function would run, the calculation will be rendered with or without that argument. So this argument, fiscal year end month, is optional. So I'll just close my bracket here. And because calendar auto is just meant to look at what is available on the data model. So which means if you don't have any date column on your data model, calendar auto will not work, because it's expecting to see some set of dates on your data model, pick what's the earliest and what's the latest, and return the full date in between for you. That's what it's meant to do. But if you don't have any column that is a date column on your data model, your calendar auto is meant to return an error for you. So I'll hit enter here, and very quickly we see that we get a list of dates starting from the 1st of January 2014 down to the last date. So we have this already. This is our date column, but there may be some other date attributes that we want to report by. What are some other date attributes we want to report by? What and what? What and what? Maybe we want to report revenue by what do we think? We can report by year. So we want to see our revenue by year. How much did we make in each of the years? What else can we report by?
Well, I think it's able to go by months or quarterly.
Excellent. By month, by quarter, and the likes of those. So, and when we have the dates like this, if we say 1st of 001-2014, this is 1st of January 2014, we can know the year, the quarter, and the month, right? From this date. Can we? Is it possible? We know the dates. Is it possible for us to know the month, the quarter, and the year?
I think so.
Okay. Yes, it's possible. So how then do we go about that? And that will bring us to, we now writing functions that will generate new columns for us. So the function we have written is one that generates a new table. So we need to write a function now that generates a new column for us. And how do we go about that? So essentially what we need to do is we can stay on the table tools, and then you see a new column button. So we want to add a new column to this table. If you stay on any other table and you go on to click on the new column button, the new column will be added to the selected table. So we need to be careful to know where exactly we want the new column to be on. So I'll go back to my calendar table. I'll go to new column. And something will open up on the formula by, again, I see column here, which means what is the name of the column? So I'll say my column is year. And for my year, what I just want to do is to extract the year from the date column. I want to extract the year from the date column. And for me to extract, there are a couple of ways. So I would use the format function. So there is a format function in DAX that allows us to specify what we want to extract and how we want that to appear. So now the format function is asking for 3 things. How many arguments from these are compulsory? How many are optional? Everybody. How many compulsory arguments do we have? How many optional arguments do we have?
So, come again with the question. I didn't, you know.
From this format function now, you see that it's asking for value, format, local name. How many of these are compulsory and how many are optional?
I think value and format are compulsory.
Okay.
Local name is optional.
Thanks a lot for that, Sadiq. So, which means that this function would not run without the value and the format. But the function would run even when we don't supply the local name. So the first thing the format function is asking for is the value. What is the value? What is that thing that you want to apply a format to? That is our date column. We are extracting from the date column. So we just say the date. But remember that the date column is the date column is a column on the date table. The date that we see here is a function. The date add is a function, date div is a function, all of these are functions. But this one that is in square bracket in front of calendar, it's a date column that is sitting on the calendar table. So that is all we need. So I'll select that. I'll put a comma, that is the value that we want to format. Then how do we want to format this? So the code to extract the year from the date is to put a quotation mark and type forwards. Put a quotation mark and type forward. This is not case sensitive. So which means if the Y's are in small letters, it will still run. And so here I'll close my bracket. And what this is doing is I want you to format the date column that is sitting on the calendar table. And the format I want you to return is 4Y. So just go on to extract the year for me. That is all this is doing. So I'll check the box. And now we get a new column that is named year. And under the column, we have all our years alone. So we don't have the full date anymore. So we can go on to extract the months now. So I'll come here, new column. For this one, I'll call this months. And then for the month, we'll use the format function again. What are we formatting? That is our dates column. That's what we're formatting. And then how do we want to format this? We'll format this using one of the full month name. So it's enter. So if we want to return 3-lettered month, which is the abbreviated month. So for January, we want to return Jan. For February, we want to return Feb. So what we'll do is, instead of the 4 letters for M that we have here, we'll use 3. So if I reduce this to 3 M's and I hit enter here, we'll get the abbreviated month. If I reduce this to 2, we'll get the numbered months. So for January, it will return 01 and like that. So we need to bear that in mind as well. So 4 M's return the full month. So now, if we want to return the day of the week, So we want to return for January 1st, maybe this is a Wednesday. So we want to return Wednesday. What do we think the format will be?
That would be day equals to format, and then we select the date again, and then it should be D since it's day.
Okay, how many D's? We want to return the full day.
The full, yeah, it should be 4 D's.
It should be 4 D's. Excellent. So I'll come here to new column. Then I'll do day. Maybe I want to say day or day of week. And so I'll say format by date column. And then the format is, and so I'll use small d's, so we know that it's not case sensitive here. And here we have the full days. So I want us to give a try now. Very quickly, everybody, create your own date table, create your calendar table. You have the date column, the year column, month, day of week, and then you add an additional column, which is for quarter. So very quickly, so you have the dates, the year, the month, day of week, and then you add quarter. So let's do that in, say, like 8 minutes, please, everybody. So let me know as soon as we're done. So you just extract the dates. We know how to generate the date. Then once you have the dates generated, extract from it the year, the month, the day of week, and the quarter.
Okay, well done, Sadiq. So let's clean up in 2 minutes. 1 minute. All right. Let me start with you, Olawale. Did you get stuck somewhere? Is Olawale here? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Not sure Olawale is here. Sadiq, were you able to complete it?
Yes.
Okay. Could you share your screen very quickly? Let's see what you have.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, I can. Okay. Date, year, month, day of the week, and quarter. Okay. Okay. Excellent, Sadiq. You didn't try. What if you want to do something like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and not just 1, 2, 3, 4?
Mm.
You're not sure how that will be done, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. But well done on this. Thanks a lot. Abdul Samad, were you able to try out something?
Good morning. No, not at all. I was just following up.
Okay, not a problem. So let me share back my screen. So here now, so zooming, we want to have a new column. And here we want to say quarter. So still do our format. We're formatting the date column. And the format we're using is just Q. So this will return 1, 2, 3, 4. For whatever quarter we have, we want to have, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to have something like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So what we'll do is quarter of year, we'll do a format, and then we're formatting date column. The date column, that's what we're formatting. And the format we're using is Q, still Q, but we'll add a tweak to this. So I'll make it 2 Qs, and before the first Q, I'll put a backward slash. So the backward slash here implies that ignore the first thing in the format. So which means return whatever is after the backward slash to return the first Q, and then the second Q is what it will use in the format. So which means the second Q is what would return the 1, the 2, the 3, or the 4, but the first Q will stand as it is because we have it followed by a slash. So if I close my bracket here and I hit enter, then we get Q1 down to Q4. Okay, so that's how to manage that scenario. So we have a date table now. There are a lot of other tables we can create. So let's assume now that we have, so let me go to the products table. And then for the product category, assuming we want to see only the products that as a category of furniture. So if I click on OK here, so I've filtered this down to the products that belongs to the furniture category. We can actually create another table that would have only these, and so we don't need to manually filter things out. And so what we'll do is to go to table tools, new table, and we'll say that products, and maybe we want to just say that this belongs to the furniture category. And now, what did we do to achieve a mini table of the whole? Initially was just to filter down. So we applied the filter that filtered down the big table to the part of the table that's meant for furnitures. And that's the same thing we're going to do here. So there's a function in DAX, which is filter. And filter is asking for two things. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can. Okay. It's asking for two things. One is, what is the table you want to filter? And what is the filter expression? The filter expression is just, how do you want to filter the table? What is the table? And tell me how to filter. So the table we want to filter is our D products table. So I'll say D product. That's the table we want to filter. What is the filter expression? The way we want to filter this is to filter down the category to where it's equal to furniture. So I will say category, which is the D product category, equal to furniture. And I will close my brackets. So what this would do is to go to the D products table. And when it gets to the D products table, it will go to the D products category column and to look out for where the category is equal to furnitures, and will return all the items. So if I hit enter here, let's see what we get. All right, so we get a blank table. Let's look at something on our D products table. So we have category equals to furniture without S. So I'll go back to the calculated table, and then here I'm just gonna make this without a S. So I'll take out this S and I'll hit the check mark. And now we have a full table returned, but if we go to filter the category, you see that we have a single category here, which is furniture. So we have returned a filtered table from an existing table on our data model. So which is another way to use to create new tables on your data model. So there are a couple of things around new tables. So we have a couple of functions that can manage that. But let's look at a few more examples on creating new columns. And then we adjourn the conversation till tomorrow, where we'll look at measures and some other things that we need to be familiar with around DAX. So I'll come to my facts table. On the facts table, look at, we have sales and we have quantity. So sales is the amount we got from the transaction. Quantity is the number of units we sold that resulted into that amount. If we want to know the unit price, how do we think we can calculate that? What will give birth to the unit price?
Hello.
Yes, Olawale.
So that should be sales divided by by quantity.
Excellent. Sales divided by quantity. So let's add a new column that will do the calculation for us. So I'll say new column. And then I'll call this unit price. And now we said it is sales divided by quantity. Okay, so very simple. Sales divided by quantity. So I'll check the box. And then we have this. So let's visually inspect this. For row number 2, our sales is 45, quantity 3, and so unit price is 15. That is correct. This we did it just this an arithmetic calculation. Facts sales divided by facts quantity. There is also a divide function in DAX, and the divide function allows you something else. So for instance, if perchance one of these, maybe the sales amount is 0 or the quantity is 0, that will return an error for us. So because we can't divide by 0, or we divide 0 by something, so it will return an error. In order to manage the error, then you will want to use the divide function instead. So I'll say new column again. And here I will say unit price 2. And I will say divide. And see, divide is asking for 2 things. What is your numerator? What is your denominator? And then it's asking, it asks an optional argument, which is the alternate result. So the alternate result is when the divide function is meant to return an error, what do you want to see as an alternative? So instead of you having an error, you want to, it's just an error handling, technique. What else do you want to see? So what we'll do is our numerator is our sales, comma, denominator is the quantity, and the alternate result, maybe we'll just leave it as 0, and then we hit enter. So for all of this, we expect to get the same results. Unit price 1, unit price 2, we expect to get the same result. The only time that the divide function would be of advantage is when our calculation is meant to result into an error, and so that we have a 0 return instead, which is a specified value that we want to see, instead of having to have what's it called, instead of having to see the error on our report. So let's look at something else very quickly. So assuming that we have our profit here, and then maybe for instance, you just want to see the actual amount paid. So we have the sales amount and we have the discount. So we want to see what the actual amount paid is. So it's the same way. We do a new column, and then we say amount paid is equal to whatever the sales amount is minus whatever the discount is. So the discount is, and that should give us the amount paid. So here we just want to see, okay, so we have the actual amount the individual is meant to pay to be the sales amount, but we have allowed some amount of discount. So what exactly did they pay eventually? So that is what is meant to return where we have the amount paid. So summarily, up to this point, what we have looked at is how can we extend the possibilities within our report. And the way to extend the possibilities within our report is to use DAX. And this is because of the fact that a couple of times you want to create a report, you have some requirement that your default visualizations will not be able to bring out for you. So you need to write some calculations that will run first before you can now go on to visualize. So assuming you want to say, for instance, somebody has asked that you need to tell us what the average unit price is. We wouldn't have been able to answer the average unit price if we did not first do the calculation of sales divided by quantity. That's only when we will be able to do the average unit price. And in the same vein, we want to know what the maximum amount paid is. We want to be able to get that at the start, not until we did our sales amount minus the discount, and then we can now do a max of the amount paid. So DAX allows you to extend the possibilities in your reporting. It fleshes out what your reporting is. But when we are writing DAX calculations, remember first that DAX is a functional language. So which means that it works with function calls. So you're just calling onto a function that would execute some things for you and will return certain results. And for this DAX, there are 4 different ways or different results we expect. The first is to get a new table. So whenever we are on the new table form button, whenever we are on a new table button, what we expect is that whatever calculation we are writing at that point should return a new table. And another thing we need to notice here is this. If I click on new table and I do something like divide, you see that divide is not coming up at all. Why is divide not coming up? Because divide function is not meant to return a table. This is meant to return a scalar, a single value. That's what it's meant to return. So if you are on the new table button, be conscious of the fact that you can only use that to return a new table. So it is only table functions that will be active. So if, for instance, I do a values function, you see that a values function will work because values function is meant to return multiple values. So it's meant to return a table. If I do something like distinct, so it's a table function, so it will come up because it's meant to return set of values. If I do something like sum, you see that I don't get a sum coming up because a sum is meant to return a single value, not a table, and that's why it's not coming up. So we need to be conscious of that. So the first thing DAX would return is a table. The next thing DAX would return is a new column. So we can come to the new column button. And before we click on the new column button, we need to be inside of the table that we want to add a new column to. You have to be inside of that specific table you want to add a new column to. So if you're outside of that, you would have the new column added to the wrong table. So you need to be inside of the specific table you want to add the new column to. The third thing that DAX would return for you is a measure. And a measure is that which would not be a new table, nor will it be a new column. It just gives you a value that sits within a container. And for you to see the actual value or the result of that, you need to visualize it. So we see that more specifically in the class tomorrow, God willing. And the last thing you will want to use DAX for is what is called row level security. And row level security is a way to manage access to things on your report. So you want to define what people will see on your report. You want to be able to restrict some part of your report to some people. You want to be able to show some things to some people and hide some things from some people based on the access level that's been defined at the organization level. Then you need to do what is called a row level security. So that is an overview of DAX. And today we have looked at how to create new tables and how to create new columns. So tomorrow we'll be focusing more on the measures and we'll do a bit on row level security as well. And tomorrow we'll be rounding up the class on DAX. So that's the remaining class we'll have. We'll use that, we spend that on the Power BI service. Do we have any questions, everybody? Any questions? Sorry, Alawali, I saw your mic was opened, but I didn't hear you talk.
None from me.
No,
Okay.
none from me. It was open before.
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. So please, as always, let's lay our hands on this. Let's practice again. Explore a bit more function, say how to add new columns, how to add new tables. Look at the existing tables, see what other new columns will be interesting for you to have all of those Try your hands on adding new tables as well. The calendar table, have it, and then you can have some other attributes. Maybe you want to pull out the week, you want to pull out the week number, the month number, all of those. Try your hands on it, and so that we have a better solid foundation to continue tomorrow's class on. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we hope to see tomorrow same time. God willing.
Sir, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you too.